This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
There it is. There's the music I was looking for. Hi, everybody. It is the After Party Live on a Hide in Your Cave Monday. After the serious nature of the show, and I know we're all looking at the fires, and especially those of us in Southern California, it's really devastating. I'm in Northern California, but as I mentioned earlier, the fires even touched us up here with the people we know there. I have relatives in Southern California. My niece and her two roommates are now back in Petaluma from UCLA. So I know a lot of you are in contact with your relatives in the South land as well, if you are not living there yourself. So if you're going through what Mark's going through, I'm so sorry that you're having this stress and anxiety right now, because I know that they are going through it big time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for waiting. And hi, Nullifidian. Sandy, hi, party people. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. Oh, was it oh no, an insurance commercial pre-show, now diabetic socks. Okay, well, what can I say? I know we get a lot of them in Northern California too. Interestingly, though, we have some windy conditions in Northern California, but not like the Santa Ana winds. And by the time October wraps up, maybe early November, our fire season is usually over. So that's what makes these January fires so wild and crazy. And I don't know if it would happen here because of the windstorm that they're having there, but never say never. And I'm glad that more portions of the state aren't affected by this. Hello to you, Heather. Oh, only audio for you, Ricky, today. That's all right. I think that means you're riding around on your motorcycle, so be safe out there. Isn't it funny, says Phineas, how PG&E hasn't shut off our power? Well, we don't have the high winds, right? Yeah. I don't know. I do want to thank Marilyn for the contribution via PayPal, and Yvonne as well, Murphy and John R. The most recent contributions to the After Party Live PayPal account. Huge thank you. You'll find the link in the About tab here on the YouTube page, and also in the show description as well. All right. Mo says they're predicting up to 50-mile-an-hour winds in this region, Kim. Do you mean the Southern California region, or do you mean Northern California? Because I know that the red flag fire warnings and the Santa Ana winds are going to be a problem through Wednesday. So I'm thinking that's what you mean in Southern California. Yeah. All right. Let's move into some of these stories, because we don't have that much time left because the Mark Thompson show went long. But I wanted to tell you about this crazy hacker story. We know this. I mean, if you've got a smart device like a phone, that someone is tracking your location, especially if you have the tracker turned on. And most of us do, because we use the map services. Used to be what? MapQuest, whatever. Now most of us use Google Maps or whatever map program you use. They need your location, your geo-tracking location. Well, somebody else is collecting that too. There is a company, and it is called Gravy Analytics. And Gravy Analytics collects information from your smartphone, including the precise movement of people. And then it sells that information to governments or other companies. They know they got hacked, Gravy Analytics, and they think more than 10 terabytes of data was ripped off. They say Russian-speaking hackers have been sharing samples of the stolen information on a well-known hacking forum. They say that the experts then went in and analyzed that sample, and they think it was easy to identify individuals around military bases and government offices. They had details about people's homes and family lives as well. Pretty scary. So apparently now the hackers know exactly where we are at any given time. The experts tell Sky News that the apps named in the leak aren't necessarily working with Gravy Analytics, and the apps would be Tinder, Spotify, City Mapper, Mumsnet, and Sky News. And those are just some of the hundreds of companies named in a list of apps linked to this breach. The company, Gravy Analytics, sells the data of thousands of apps used all around the world. The experts are saying this is not just your typical data leak, this is actually a national security threat. That by mapping military locations in Russia alongside the location data, experts were able to identify military personnel in seconds. And that was just from the sample that was given. And it's down to the details. So whether you're using your phone on the bus or in the bathroom, it's that level of detail which suddenly gives people the ability to make really quite deep distinctions and observations about your life and then use that against you. It has the precise latitude and longitude coordinates of people's phones at the time the phone was apparently there. So, can you protect from hacks like this? Yes, you can turn off your location when it's not needed. You can turn off the Wi-Fi when it's not needed, but how many people really do that? For Android users, they say you should delete your advertising ID. For Apple users, they say turn off allow apps to request to track in the privacy and security settings. Ugh, just a mess. And I don't know why it feels like, oh, just another hack, right? Because really, the amount of emails or letters you've personally probably received, as have I, saying, "Oh, such and such a website got hacked. Your credit card information or your details may have been exposed. You're entitled to a free whatever it is of your credit check report." I mean, how many of those do you get before finally you're like, "Oh, whatever." The Gravy Analytics folks are apparently reviewing the alleged incident. Uh, they've been approached for comment. They have not spoken out yet. Tinder says it takes safety and security seriously. They don't have evidence that the details that Analytics released came from their website, among others. So I don't know. Apparently, they know exactly where we are at any moment of the day that our phone is next to us. And how many of you just looked at your phone and thought, "Oh, I guess they know where I am right now," right? To something a little more interesting, look at this beautiful bird. Such a pretty color of yellow. This is a canary, and a very rare yellow, rather cardinal, a cardinal, very rare yellow cardinal. And it flew right into a Michigan backyard. Two backyard birders in Michigan get this surprise of a yellow northern cardinal. And these people happen to be birders, and they see this cardinal land right in their backyard in Bath, Michigan, which is near East Lansing. The woman, her name is Arlene, she says, "I really couldn't believe it. We do get a lot of cardinals. There's always a lot of them here. The males are just a stunningly beautiful red, females more orangey. But," she said, "when we saw this yellow one, the thing that made it really distinctive, others than its feathers, is that its beak is also so yellow." There it is. Uh, the man in the relationship, John, says they named the bird Donovan because of a folk musician. His catchy tune "Mellow Yellow" hit the number 2 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1966. So the bird's name is Donovan. They've had previous sightings of these birds, but they call them one in a million. No solid data on just how rare these canary colored cardinals are in the wild. They say it's hard to get a sense of really how rare these birds are. And there's no study that estimates the frequency of this type of feather coloration in the general population of cardinals. That, according to a Cornell University ornithologist. But they tell Popular Science, given that they've been birding for close to 30 years and have never seen a yellow northern cardinal, it's safe to say they're pretty rare. So, why is this yellow cardinal not red, as most cardinals would be? Genetic mutations that alter pigments in an animal's feathers, scales, or hair are most often behind the coloring in these animals. Sometimes the pigments are not expressed or they're overexpressed, and that can mean rare changes in color. They don't know the exact genetic mutation that causes yellow pigmented northern cardinals, but they say whatever it is, it affects the bird's ability to produce red pigments, carotenoid pigments, they're called. Most of the bright yellows, reds, and oranges that we see in birds' plumage, including those of the northern cardinal, come from the diet. But the red pigment in a cardinal's plumage, metabolically derived and synthesized from carotenoids that they acquire from their diet. So there was a study done in 2003 where the feathers were analyzed of these yellow northern cardinals. And this bird lacked all of the regular pigments that were derived from what it had eaten. So the study researchers said they believe the unknown genetic mutation present in this bird disrupts the metabolic pathway that helps the body synthesize red carotenoids, which is the enzyme that converts the carotenoids from the bird's diet into the red that's seen on the feathers, and that's what wasn't present. So, what a surprise for these birders to have this guy land right in their backyard. And what a beautiful bird. Not so good surprise for this guy. This guy took a wrong turn. Whoopsies, ended up right on a ski slope with skiers whipping right by. This happened in Colorado. Police were called out to a ski resort, the Keystone Resort, on an unusual hazard, a car that took a wrong turn. The county sheriffs with the Summit County Sheriff's Office posted these photos on social media showing the car on the School Marm ski run at Keystone Resort. The sheriff said, gotta love that. Facebook post. Not our everyday illegal parking call, they said. Deputies found a note stuck to the car's window explaining the driver took a wrong turn while following a GPS route and ended up stuck on the slope. They had to call a tow truck driver to remove the car from the slope, and then they returned that vehicle back to its owner. Looks like a nice Audi. That had to be a bummer. I'm like, wait, wait a minute. This is not where I meant to go. No. More and more people are having their tubes tied and getting vasectomies. There is an interest now in permanent contraception. It has risen, and specifically after the Roe v. Wade reversal. So more people are saying, you know what? You're going to take away my choices, then let's just go ahead and take away the option to reproduce because I don't want to get myself stuck in a situation where this is what I'm living with. There's a surge in permanent contraception or sterilization after the Supreme Court decision in 2022 that overturned Roe v. Wade. A new study published last week, Monday, in the journal Health Affairs, tubal sterilization increased by 70% among women aged 19 to 26 between May of 2022 and August of 2022. That's according to insurance claims by data analyzed by researchers. They say vasectomies also increased by 95% of young men in that age range. Those percentages seem so high, right? Further, writes the study, the surge in tubal sterilization and vasectomy occurred mainly in states likely to ban abortion. The study shows that the Dobbs decision has a profound effect on young adults' reproductive choices, leading many to opt for permanent contraception in the months following the decision. This is according to Julia Strasser, who's the director of the Jacobs Institute of Women's Health at George Washington University's Milken Institute of Public Health. The survey results included in the study quoted young people fearful of losing their rights and their ability to decide for themselves when to become parents. One woman, 21 years old, told the survey, "It's got me to make sure that I cannot get pregnant." She said, "I'm even having my tubes tied." Yep. The analyzed U.S. healthcare claims data between 2021 and 20 22. And in that, they looked at about 191 million patients that made healthcare claims during that time frame. If I could forgot the ability to speak, I just lost it. It's gone. The results show 799 more tubal sterilizations and 346 more vasectomies were performed between the Dobbs leak and the end of that summer compared with the year before among young adults 19 to 26. And permanent sterilizations occurred each month in states likely to ban abortion compared with states likely to support abortion rights. See, if they want us to have babies, don't take away our rights. Look what happens. Come on. The results found no such permanent contraception among adults 27 to 44, which suggests that young adults may be driving increased use of these methods post Dobbs. The researchers also did a poll on My Voice of teenagers and young adults to see what might have driven this surge in permanent sterilization. And here's some of the comments, or at least one of the comments. It has made me want to be sterilized more, said one person, because the pill isn't 100% effective, and I'm afraid of losing access to it. And I don't want children in the future and would much rather be sterilized. I'm afraid of getting pregnant and not being able to make decisions for myself. So, a lot of doctors won't do it if you're younger person. But perhaps, as one person said, people are getting sterilized to stay safe. You know, maybe doctors realizing that times have changed are changing the way they operate. But from the seriousness of reproductive health to weird goings on with bananas, it's a banana mystery in England. Someone is peeling bananas every month and leaving them on a street corner. This is happening in Nottinghamshire, England. And there are these plates loaded with peeled bananas left by the side of the road once a month, and it's been happening for more than a year. And residents are like, who is leaving these peeled bananas sitting around on the street? They started appearing more than a year ago at the corner of Abbey Road and Windsor Avenue, right across the street from a church. One resident figured out the banana plates were being left on the second day of each month. And so she put up a sign reading, "Please, respectfully, no more bananas." The uncollected plates and rotting bananas leave such a mess. Wishing a happy new year to you all. Despite the sign, someone still left another plate of bananas on January 2nd. This woman, her name is Claire Short. She said, I asked around the local community, but no one really knows and no one can tell me anything. Some people think the bananas might be a monthly gift for the local wildlife. Some think they could be some sort of religious offering, maybe, due to their proximity to the church. So, what to do? This woman, Ms. Short, said finally, you know what? I'm just going to take my sign down because I don't really want to make it a feud. I don't want it to become a big thing. Too late for that. She said, I think it's a special thing for someone and I wish them well. But if they could come back and clean up the mess a few days later, that would be lovely. The mystery of the peeled bananas in England persists. It's time for the Lotto of the day. And here it is. This is a Maryland woman who used numbers from a dream and she won $50,000. This Maryland woman won 50 grand from a pick 5 lottery drawing. She said her set of winning numbers came to her in a dream. She told Maryland lottery officials she had a dream in December about a series of numbers that stuck in her head when she woke up. So she ends up using these digits, 99000, to buy a pick 5 ticket from the Zip In Mart, like zip in, zip out, Zip In Mart in Oxon Hill. She said, we were running late and I almost forgot to play, but I knew that we just had to play those numbers from my dream. And that netted her $50,000 in the December 20th drawing. She said, Her husband said, "My wife showed me, but it didn't seem real. When the Midas touch comes, hopefully you're on it." Thankfully, we were. They're still trying to figure out what they're gonna do with the prize money. He said, "Whatever she wants." But we already gave the grandkids something extra for Christmas, so that was nice. Pay attention to our dreams, I guess, would be the moral of that story. Did you hear about this old ice? This ice is really old. 1.2 million year old ice has been pulled up from underneath Antarctica. It's an ancient ice core that scientists say could help explain why humans weren't wiped out in the Pleistocene era. This is a newly uncovered Antarctic ice core, and it represents the oldest known ice on the planet. It's a 1.7-mile long ice core. God, wouldn't you be afraid when you thaw it out? Like, what happens? What's in there? It was recovered from more than 9,000 feet deep underground, where the Antarctic ice sheet meets the bedrock. The drilling was finished earlier this month at Little Dome C near the Concordia Research Station in southeastern Antarctica. An international team of science representing 10 countries from the EU uh, brave temperatures of negative 31 degrees Fahrenheit to recover this piece of ice. They say from the preliminary analysis, they have a strong indication that the uppermost 8,136 feet of it contain a climate record that goes back 1.2 million years in a high resolution record where up to 13,000 years are compressed into 1 meter of ice. This is from the chief scientist in the field and postdoctoral student at Copenhagen University. The newly extracted ice, preserving a record of our planet's climate history, continuous information on atmospheric temperatures, and some clear samples of old air with greenhouse gases. It's the longest continuous record of our past climate from an ice core, and they think it can reveal the interlink between carbon cycle and temperature of our planet. The team used radio echo sounding technologies and advances in ice flow modeling to pinpoint exactly where to drill. The lowest 688 feet of the ice core above the bedrock is made of older ice that is heavily deformed. The team thinks that it might be possibly mixed or refrozen, and it might be of unknown origin. They say further analysis could help some previous theories about the behavior of refrozen ice under the Antarctic ice sheet and reveal more about East Antarctica's glacial history. So, could looking into ice this deep answer one of our major climate mysteries? What happened when glacial cycles were disrupted about 900,000 to 1.2 million years ago? Because some scientists think that our ancestors, human ancestors, came close to extinction during these massive climate shifts. So they're looking into all this now, trying to understand our planet's history, how the climate is changing, how it changed in the past. They can trap bubbles of air and particles that show temperature variation and what greenhouse gases were present at that time, and even store viruses. See, that's the part that would freak me out. So, we know that data from other ice cores has already helped scientists link the current rise in temperatures to the greenhouse gas emissions from the burning of fossil fuels. So the new core is going to be brought back to Europe aboard an icebreaker. They have to keep it at minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit, and then they'll analyze the ice samples, seeing if they can even find records beyond 1.2 million years. We'll see. We'll keep our eye on this one to see what else they come up with, what other research they've done and uncovered from this ice core. Um, let me do the cave of the day, the hide in your cave Monday, before I get to some of these other stories because I want to make sure we get to it. But there is a cave, and I think this is what was suggested. If I've gotten it wrong, please let me know. And I will get it right eventually, but I think you said you wanted details on Bridal Cave. So I found this Bridal Cave for Hide in Your Cave Monday in the Ozarks. And here is the video from Bridal Cave in the Ozarks. And it is pretty impressive, actually. It's kind of a big touristy place. It's in the Lake of the Ozarks, in the heart of the Lake of the Ozarks, the Bridal Cave. It's they say stands as a testament to nature's beauty and wonder. They've been welcoming visitors to Bridal Cave for 75 years. They say this cave is not just a destination, but a journey through time and a celebration of natural splendor. It has been called the Ozark area's prettiest cave. They say they're the only cave in Missouri accessible by water, complete with a boat dock. And they say it's a place to create lifelong memories and traditions at Bridal Cave. It sure is spectacular inside. Look at that. Wow. Just looking at the pictures. There's a video rolling if you're listening via podcast of the inside of these caves and all the formations inside. And it's just incredible looking. So if you're in Missouri, going to the Ozarks, check out Bridal Cave. It's pretty spectacular. And that, my friends, is Hide in Your Cave Monday. All right. Let's move on to another story. And this one is about an old Spanish shipwreck. I have the picture for you right here. Here's one of the pictures. You can see divers looking at something under the sea. The divers have recovered this ancient shipwreck that sank 2,600 years ago off the coast of Spain. And piece by piece, they are transporting this Phoenician vessel to dry land where they're going to study it and then they're going to preserve it. So they're raising this old shipwreck from the waters. It was initially located in 1994, so it's not a new find. But this 27-foot long wreck, which was carrying a load of lead ingots when it sank, was discovered near the town of Mazarone. So it's known as the Mazarone 2. It was found just 6 feet beneath the surface of the Mediterranean, just 200 feet away from a beach called Playa de Isla. It was covered up in sand, which had helped keep it a secret, hidden for centuries. But there have been changes along the coastline, coastal construction, shifting sea currents, and it made this wreck site more vulnerable. And they say that it can no longer remain where it is because sand protection is now disappearing. And so the wreckage has survived for centuries, but now they say it's time to roll up our sleeves and ensure we can continue to enjoy this asset of cultural interest. For a lot of time, it was for many years, recent years, the wreck was covered by a protective metal box. But there was a group of experts who studied the wreck site between 2017 and 19, and they found the metal box was sinking and actually was threatening to crush the shipwreck. So, in the summer of 2023, archaeologists began to devise a plan on how they would raise this shipwreck from the sea floor. They went to the diving site and they spent 560 hours making detailed diagrams of all the cracks in the shipwreck. And they figured it out. Between September and November of 2024, a team of 14 divers carefully brought this wooden shipwreck to the surface piece by piece. Now they're taking all the fragments to a lab at the Museum of Underwater Archaeology in Cartagena for conservation and reconstruction. And that work will likely take about 4 years. Here they are with their underwater diagrams figuring out the best way to save this shipwreck. They say the first thing they'll do to preserve it is start removing the salt from each of the pieces. Then they'll apply resin to help fill in some of the places where the wood has rotted away. And then they'll freeze dry the pieces before they try to reassemble this ship. They think it belonged to the Phoenicians, which is a group of maritime traders and merchants who inhabited the eastern Mediterranean coast from around 1500 to 300 BCE. This would be one of the few Phoenician era shipwrecks that's still largely intact, and the hope is that it could offer some insights into the Phoenician shipbuilding techniques and the culture as well. They want to know what type of wood was used to build the boat, where was it built, what navigation was like at that time, the degradation process of the wood, the contamination that may have occurred in shallow waters, all of these things they want to know. So, another story we'll have to watch and see exactly what they figure out now that they have the ship in a lab. Did you hear that Toyota is going to start putting its money into a space flight company? Toyota, the car maker, and interestingly, this is Akito Toyoda, Toyoda, who is the Toyota, Toyota, Motor Corporation chairman. The company, Toyota, will be investing $44.4 million in a private Japanese space flight company. Sound familiar? Yeah. Mm. The company announcing their intent to invest in interstellar technologies. They made the announcement during the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. While discussing Toyota's investment in many technologies, Toyota briefly discussed the company's latest venture in the field of private spaceflight. He said, "When it comes to what's possible when you work together, the sky is the limit. And speaking of the sky, we're exploring rockets too." He said, "The future of mobility shouldn't be limited to just Earth or one car company." So the investment makes Toyota Japan's second automaker to venture into space. They joined Mitsubishi, which developed an H-3 rocket for the Japanese Space Agency. And while the announcement was being made, Toyota shared some renderings of rocket designs as well. Looks like they're developing maybe a small rocket capable of launching satellites into orbit along with interstellar technologies. So, and very interesting. Something else I thought was interesting is that they want to develop a space-based telecommunications network to support this 175-acre prototype city. It's called the Toyota Woven City, and it's located in the foothills of Mount Fuji in Japan. So, interesting goings on with Toyota. Were you aware that human beings glimmer? Because I was not aware. But apparently, this is not new information that humans glow in the dark. Maybe you knew, but I think, who knew? I didn't know. It's too weak for our eyes to see, but the human body glimmers. This story I found in IFL Science. It's kind of a regurgitation of a study from 2009, but since I missed it in 2009, I thought we'd look at it now. We are, I guess, bioluminescent. Bioluminescence has been detected in humans, so we glow in the dark, but it's really, really faint. This is the discovery made by researchers in this study from 2009. They used these incredibly sensitive cameras to effectively watch naked people while they slept. And they said what they found is that the human body glimmers. As for why we can't see it, the intensity of the light emitted by the body is 1,000 times lower than the sensitivity of our naked eyes. The glimmering was observed in 5 males in their 20s who were subject to normal light dark conditions and invited periodically to sleep in front of this cryogenic charged coupled device camera that could detect light at a level of a single photon. And the researchers note the camera had to be operated at a certain temperature, but they didn't have to subject the people to that type of temperature. They were routinely sampled for saliva to measure their cortisol levels. They had their surface and oral temperature checked before and after photon measurements were taken, because apparently cortisol is a biomarker of endogenous circadian rhythms, which the researchers wanted to have tracked so they could compare it against any changes that were observed on camera. And what they said is this: The way we glow changes throughout the day. Our faces glow the most. As for what is orchestrating the change, they say it really comes down to your circadian rhythm. The powerhouse of the cell, good old mitochondria, releases tiny amounts of reactive oxygen species as a byproduct while it's producing the energy needed to keep us alive. And those reactive oxygen species, or ROSs, react with molecules including proteins, lipids, and fluorophores, whose excited states emit biophotons, and this is how the human body glitters to the rhythm of the circadian clock. Who knew? I'm telling you. Don't you feel fancy right now? A little glowy, a little sparkly? I see you. Bioluminescence, we know, relies on enzymatic activity to glow, but there's another way that living things can glow. And apparently, we're finding this in more and more species. But did you know that we do it too? We've known about it since 2009, but learn something new every day. That's the whole point of this show, right? There's a new, I want to, before we go, can we just talk about this for a second, for a hot second? There's a robot. It's a kitty cat robot, and it can help you in the kitchen. What does it do? Well, I'm glad you asked. It blows on your hot food, your hot tea, your hot coffee, your hot soup, your hot food. Yeah, that's helpful. Japanese robotics startup Yukai Engineering is out now with this portable cat shaped robot that blows air to cool down hot food and beverages. They also debuted it at the Consumer Electronics Show. It's called Nekojita Fufu. It's a robot aimed at people with heat sensitive tongues, which apparently they did a survey, and it's a condition that affects 47% of the population in Japan. Heat sensitive tongue. The robot gets its name from the Japanese term nekojita, meaning cat tongue, which is a phrase used to describe people who have a low tolerance for hot food, which is why they made it in the shape of a cat, likely. The second part of the name, fufu, is a representation of the sound made when blowing air to cool down food. Fufu. I don't know how they got that from that, but okay. So it operates with an internal fan powered by a rechargeable battery. It has a specifically developed algorithm, the Fu-ing system, to mimic human breath, switching between various blowing modes, such as the full force and the not gonna spill it mode. The robot randomizes its blowing strength and rhythm to ensure a personalized cooling experience while effectively reducing temperatures. They say, unlike traditional heat reducing mugs, the robot is a standalone device. It can be attached to any dishware with a straight edge, making it versatile and compatible with various bowls, cups, and mugs. It can cool hot water from 88 to 71 degrees Celsius within 3 minutes and to 66 degrees Celsius within 5 minutes. There you go. The guy that runs the company, his name is the marketing officer, Tubasa Tomenga. He said he's identified the need for the product while recalling his struggle with cooling hot baby food for his son, which often left him breathless and dizzy. We created Nekojita Fufu as a little personal meal partner so you can solve your Nekojita problem anywhere, anytime. They say this robot doesn't just help you enjoy your hot coffee. It can help make it easier for seniors to cool down hot soup and reduce parents' chores by helping kids eat with less help. Not a bad idea. Nekojita Fufu. I could use you. Look at that. It's very cute. I don't know if I'd call it a robot, but I guess it is. I'm going to the chat to see what you guys are talking about over here. Blue Spark, another thing I don't need or want. Okay. Miss Organic says it should be Little Bunny Foo Foo. That's funny. That's what I was thinking of too. Sea Dog says, finally something that will stop me from burning my tongue. See? A need for this, right? Does it sneeze on my food like my cat? I hope not. No. Mm-mm. Gordon says if you blush, it would show up red. Oh, you're talking about being glittering? Yeah, maybe. Mm. Oh, sure, says Trevor. But when I use cameras to watch naked people when they sleep, suddenly it's a problem. It has to be an official study, Trevor. See, that's how you get around that. Come on. Mo Direct says this was documented psychic discoveries behind the Iron Curtain. Huh. I have not heard of that. Nope. 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 All right. Karen says we could graduate to robotic politicians. I think we'd be in good shape. At least we'd know what to expect, right? Come on. Thank you for all the contributions to this show on PayPal. Here on YouTube, the super chat, super stickers are open as well. Oh no, Heather got pulled into a meeting. The audacity of them to make you work. I'm telling you, horrible. We'll be back on the Mark Thompson Show with Michael Schur tomorrow. So it's going to be really fun. It is a David K. Johnston day. So that's going to be good. And then back here on the After Party Live for Travel Tuesday. If you have a suggestion as to where we ought to go, please send me a message, Kim at theafterparty.live, Kim at theafterparty.live, and I would love to hear from you. Okay. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you back here on YouTube tomorrow. Make it a really good one. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Oh, so noted, Karen. I'll put some Hawaii news in the mix.